Johnson was, very inventive about. I know we bash him and we call him, um, a hack and a copier, but his contribution to architecture and design was significant, not just in his relationships and how many people he mentored. And I truly believe that was his largest contribution. If you read the other book that I struck off the reading list, which was, The Man in the Glass House, just because there was so much duplication between this book and that book, and and I would encourage anybody listening to this that they should read both because it's a fantastic biography. And there's another one that I read as well, and I'm trying to remember the author's name, but I've read a couple of biographies on Johnson, just Johnson himself. His biggest contribution was his mentorship of and his ability as a critic to see the talent of other young architects. The fact that he held um, court in the Seagram's building in the restaurant that he designed, um, uh, for the Ritz that cost like a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But he had a reserved table there for what 30 some odd years, and he's sitting there and hanging out with Robert A.M. Stern and Michael Graves, and they come up, through their dialogue, they come up with the Chippendale top for the AT&T building. Holy crap!
Is that a good thing though? I don't know if that's the best anecdote. like like the most hated building of the most hated on architect. But also on the flip side,
so if you're Ellsworth Tully, you go, the public loves it, and it's a brilliant building.
Did they?
Yeah, the public loved it.
Yeah.
All architects hated it because it was pastiche.
Yeah.
It was a cartoon of architecture, and Johnson celebrated the fact that he created a cartoon of architecture because he wanted to be, part of it is he wanted to be in the limelight, which he was, but part of it was that he had influence on how architecture was created and performed and done. Certainly during the early '80s through the early '90s. For a decade there wasn't any architect that didn't have and wasn't influenced by Philip Johnson. Um, and many of them went on to do really really great work. You have you can like or hate Robert A.M. Stern, but um, he's written prolifically about architecture and influenced architecture in an amazing way. Um, I'm not a big fan of his architecture or of his work, but I'm a big fan of how much he's influenced work. And he put out a book recently. Um, it's uh, it's called Pedagogy in Place, and it's all about placemaking. It's all about the the creation of place in an educational uh, context. And you can't deny that even Stern has had an amazing influence. You may be a lover or hater of his architecture, but as an influencer from pedagogical or teaching or methodological point of view, uh, he's really affected many of us in the practice that we are currently in.